It was almost Christmas in 1990. Like all children, the 5 kids in the Navarro family were looking forward to the holidays. But their father was dreading the arrival of 1991.
It's
a very bitter Christmas, knowing we are losing our jobs and not knowing how long it will take to find new work.
Both Laro Navarro and his wife Yolanda had worked for 13 years on the production line at Green Giant's frozen foods plant near Salinas, California. Their jobs would be eliminated shortly after Christmas as part of an expansion at the newer Green Giant facility in Irapuato, Mexico. This was the second wave of layoffs for Green Giant workers in the Salinas area. The first came when Green Giant's Irapuato, Mexico plant was constructed in 1983. Some would argue that the Navarros should have prepared themselves, but handicapped by a limited knowledge of English and no other job skills, they didn't know what else to do.
I suppose it's our fault, right? But really, we've worked since we arrived here. I've been here 20 years, and I have not stopped working one day.
Yolanda sees the irony of this situation. Green Giant's plant in Irapuato is in her home state of Guanajuato, Mexico, a home she left 2 decades ago to find a better life trimming vegetables in the United States. At the Lema household in Irapuato, Mexico, the family scrapes by, in part by selling snow cones from their front porch. They, too, are in search of a better life, and the efforts of their children, especially 16-year-old Virginia and her sister, help buy food and clothing for their household. Both girls work for the Green Giant processing plant in Irapuato, known locally as Gigante Verde. Virginia says she chops broccoli there 7 days a week.
When does she rest? When would she study? I just feel sorry for her. I think it's tragic. And that's the kind of stuff that Green Giant cannot be proud of.
A public relations spokesman for Pillsbury, which acquired Green Giant in a friendly takeover a decade ago, refused to appear on camera following a wave of negative national publicity surrounding the job losses in the Salinas area. Regarding Virginia's long work week, Pillsbury Vice President of Public Relations Terry Thompson would neither confirm nor deny it, saying only that he couldn't verify the truthfulness of any of her statements. But after an appearance at a Washington hearing on the proposed elimination of trade barriers between the United States and Mexico, a senior vice president of Green Giant agreed to a short discussion of issues such as working conditions at the Gigante Verde plant in Irapuato, Mexico.
We employ no child labor in our plant, and we apply the same standards as we do here to a U.S. plant.
Unfortunately, it is clear that the standards are not exactly the same. There is a 7-day work week in Irapuato, and the wages are much lower. 16-year-old Virginia says she earns $43 working a 7-day week. Some estimates place the earnings for other young Green Giant workers who process broccoli and cauliflower at $4.80 per day. While the exact estimates vary, the average wage here is said to be no more than 78 cents per hour. At Green Giant near Salinas, workers like Laro Navarro used to earn considerably more than that, typically $7.50 an hour. Yet Green Giant says this extreme difference in wages was not a motivating factor in the decision to expand in Mexico.
Our objective in moving to Mexico and actually doubling our capacity down there was not driven so much by cost as it was by being able to deliver to our consumer a higher quality product year-round.
But figures published by the San Jose Mercury News in 1991 indicate that by taking jobs from workers like Yolanda and giving them to workers like Virginia, Green Giant saved $13,224 per worker per year. The move to a lower wage rate area left the displaced workers in California discouraged and angry.
We helped Green Giant make their millions, and now what are we left with? Nothing but backaches and twisted fingers. It's hard to accept. Now that we're getting older, they're throwing us out. We have to start all over and look for work again.
Hard to accept? Perhaps. But the displacement of American workers in favor of those in Mexico or other low-wage rate areas seems to represent the way the world is going.
Well, it's very clear that what companies do to survive, and that is their chief imperative, they go offshore. If they cannot get a good domestic environment in which to hire, to promote, to produce, to save, to earn profits. They go where they can.
In rural Mexico, there are no minimum wage laws, no requirements for overtime pay after 40 hours, and some of the workers there are equally discouraged and angry. Further, the increased production by United States companies of crops like cauliflower and broccoli has meant that fewer Mexican fields are dedicated to growing corn and beans, which are the staples of the Mexican diet. Farmers like Javier Cortez make more profit by growing broccoli to sell north of the border.
It's less expensive to grow it here because everything is cheaper. The price of labor is cheaper here than elsewhere.
But the scarcity of locally grown corn, beans, and wheat has meant higher food prices in Mexico.
To buy the corn that we eat, that we make tortillas with, we have to work 1 week.
It's very difficult to live on that. I'm living here with my father, grandparents, and 3 uncles. We don't have clean drinking water or plumbing. We eat nothing but beans and chili. We can afford meat only once a week. This is where I live with my wife and my child.
Nothing more than greed that is driving those companies to go to Mexico.
A proposed North American free trade zone would make it more profitable for more companies to relocate to Mexico through the elimination of tariffs and other trade restrictions. The proposal would allow Mexico to join Canada and the United States in the world's largest free trade zone, one that would include 350 million people.
The fact that some of the Pacific Rim nations are developing their free trade groups, Europe, its free trade group, if we don't rather quickly move toward free trade with those contiguous on our border, then we will be left behind.
It is a proposal Green Giant is clearly in favor of.
The Green Giant division has the most interest in an agreement that immediately eliminates U.S. duties on a number of fresh and, more importantly, frozen vegetables such as broccoli and cauliflower imported on a seasonal basis.
Be it broccoli, bus engines, or anything in between, there are many who favor a loosening of import restrictions from Mexico for a variety of reasons.
Everyone benefits from freer trade because the barriers going down give consumers more choice, help lower prices through competition.
Free trade is probably the single most important thing we could do to help less developed countries develop and prosper.
One of the chief arguments in favor of a free trade zone has been that it would lower prices in the United States for goods imported from Mexico.
You've increased the purchasing power of 250 million Americans. You've actually increased the growth rate of this nation and therefore the purchasing power.
But if companies such as Green Giant are planning to lower their prices because of savings incurred through relocating to Mexico, they apparently haven't done so yet. A California television station investigating this issue found that frozen broccoli imported from Mexico is priced exactly the same as its counterpart grown in the United States. It's also been argued that development and prosperity in countries like Mexico will increase the demand there for American products. But in nearly 2,000 so-called maquiladoras, which are Mexican assembly plants built by American companies during the past decade, that argument is, for the moment, not convincing to Mexican Union organizer Antonio Mosqueda.
The U.S. companies aren't helping the Mexican people by coming here because a worker is not able to support a family on minimum wage, which is what these companies pay.
The average wages in the maquiladoras are 60 to 80 cents an hour. Those wages barely provide a subsistence living in northern Mexico. Mr. Chairman, if that's the ladder to prosperity for the Mexicans, all of the bottom rungs are missing.